Welcome to the November PyLadies monthly talk evening. Can everybody online hear me okay? You have it? Okay, good. Hi, my name is Anastasia. I'm one of the many thousands of Berlin PyLadies, and I'm going to have the honor today of doing a brief introduction to PyLadies Berlin, some tiny community announcements, and then I'm going to pass over to our lovely host, DLT, and then we're going to pass over to our speakers today. We have three very interesting talks. One from Timna about the struggles of buying data, one from Sarah about using the modern tech stack to build a product catalog for scalability, and then we have a small break, and after the break we have Aliona, who will be talking to us about building a composable data future. Then there'll be some time for wrap up the networking, and we're going to finish at around 9 p.m. Yeah, okay. A small announcement. So there'll be photos being taken at the event today. Also, I've already seen a few people taking photos. If you specifically don't want to have any photos of you being taken, or if you have any issues with images being made, please reach out to one of us. You can talk to me, you can talk to Jessica in the corner, and we will try and accommodate and make sure that that's in accordance to your wishes. And yeah, so PyLadies in general, if you haven't heard of it, it's now you have. I guess you're here today because you have heard of it. It's an international mentorship group for specifically aimed towards giving space and support to people of marginalized genders in tech, such as but not limited to non-binary people, trans people, cis women, and generally anyone else that feels like they're less represented within the tech space. And there is a focus within PyLadies to help the community become more active participants and leaders within the Python open source community. All skill levels are welcome. If you aren't in tech yet and you want to get started, it's also a great place to get started. The mission of PyLadies is to promote, educate, and advance the most diverse Python community possible through outreach, education, conferences, events, social gatherings, and they provide a friendly support network for gender minorities and a bridge to the larger Python world. Anyone is welcome. All skill levels are welcome. If you feel like you don't know enough Python and you don't have enough experience, it's not true. You're welcome. Yeah. So, sorry. There are many, many chapters of PyLadies, as you can see, all across the world. There are new chapters opening very regularly. If there isn't a PyLadies chapter in your city yet or in your country, you're very welcome to get one started. There is support available for that as well. Otherwise, it's worth having a look to see if there is already something happening and maybe get together with other people who are interested. It's a hugely diverse and international group. And the collection of speakers that have been speaking at PyLadies events throughout the years is also diverse and international. Specifically, PyLadies Berlin, because we're in Berlin right now, is one of the chapters of PyLadies. It's a very active chapter. It was founded in 2013, so it's already pretty old. It's got 3,099 members. I don't know how current that number is, but
start of the week.
Start of the week.
But it already got
But now, if some of you did not consider yourselves PyLadies at the start of this week, then we have a few more now and counting. There are 4 chapters in Germany, and they're always growing. And there are also PyLadies members and community members within Germany who don't have a particular chapter in the city, but they're also active in the regions. So many active people all throughout Germany. And what does the Berlin chapter do specifically? There are regular monthly meetups with talks and workshops, such as today. They are on very many diverse topics. So not only tech focused, sometimes also more kind of career focused, soft skills focused, really anything goes. There are sometimes full day workshops happening. There are also setup events to get started with coding or to get started in open source for people that haven't ever done it before. There is the opportunity to connect people to companies or just generally networking, of course, and basically anything that you can think of and dream of. PyLadies is a really good support network to get that to happen if you get involved. And generally, if you're interested in participating, the best way to do that is over Slack. So there is a global PyLadies Slack workspace. There's going to be a QR code for it. not a QR code, sorry, a link, slackin.pyladies.com. At some point, there'll be probably a QR code, but basically there is a general link called slackinpyladies.com. Then you kind of go and you follow the steps. And within that entire Slack workspace, which is global, there is a City Berlin group, which is where most of the announcements are happening. And for some of the events, there's also like specific side channels that are being made. So if you're interested in keeping up with what's happening in PyLadies Berlin, join the City Berlin group on the Slack space. And you're very welcome to join us for any future events as well. Getting involved means you can come and watch the events as you are doing today, but you're also very, very invited if you have an idea for a talk or a workshop that you would like to give, to suggest that and to actually come and speak. It's a really good place to actually practice speaking if you don't feel so comfortable speaking in front of people. Very friendly group. At least that's the vibe I'm getting right now, speaking in front of this group, so I can confirm. You can also help organize a meetup. If you work for a company that has space to host, you're very welcome to get in touch and say, hey, we have some space, we want to get involved. If you want to be a coach or a mentor at one of the workshops, super welcome to suggest any ideas like that. Or you can even join the organizing team. There are regular meetings happening that are also announced on the Berlin channel. And if you think, okay, I don't really have a specific talk idea in mind, but I just want to help, you're very welcome to join also an organizing meeting as well. Exactly. You're very welcome to, if you already think, oh my God, I want to speak at a PyLadies event, you can scan one of these QR codes. You can also email us, you can reach out on Slack, and on the website, there is a form for you to fill out if you think you want to be a speaker. And the Python community can learn a lot from you. If you feel like you don't want to talk about coding, you can also talk about really anything else apart from coding, any non-coding superpowers you might have, things like presentation skills, salary negotiation, CV preparation, anything like that also works as an idea. I think I've kind of said that. It's open to all. That's a very important point. You're very welcome to join us in the organizing team. You're very welcome to help shape PyLadies, and it's really open to anyone. Being mindful, of course, of the kind of tenets of PyLadies and maybe like the kind of ideas behind it. Some next meetings to announce. We have on the 2nd of December, a end of year event at Spiced Academy over in Kreuzberg. Whoop, whoop. I work there, so extra big whoop from me. And that's going to be more of a sort of wrap up celebration for the end of the year. Should be very nice. There's going to be a lot of amazing decorations. That's one fact that's already certain. That's on the 2nd of December. And then on January the 14th. This is like the endless winter of Berlin. At some point, it's like the 100th. On January 14th at Better Mile, there's going to be a regular members talk evening, and that's going to be scikit-learn based. So there's going to be something about getting started with open source with scikit-learn, but also I think some other topics as well. So you're very welcome to feel yourself invited to that. And if you ever want to track just sort of the event invitations, there's also meetup.com like group. You're very welcome to join, and then you get all the invitations. You can sign up for the events. I'm guessing most of you already did that because. Okay. This is some other events that aren't PyLadies specific, but also worth mentioning. So on the 20th of November, there is a PyData event about data transformation and detecting anomalies. Then PyBerlin is doing one on blockchain, fast API, and Python and music. Yes. And then the Python user group, Berlin, is having a Christmas party for the Python Berlin meetups, which is like a sort of meta event. Also very welcome to that. Yeah, loads of things going on. You're very invited to join any and all of them. There's also, as you may have seen, the wonderful stickers at the back with all of the little PyLadies avatars. Woo. That comes from actually a small program from the Swedish chapter of PyLadies. And if you go to ava.pyladies.se, you can actually put together your own little customized PyLadies avatar, and one that maybe reflects you. And you're very welcome to grab a sticker with one of the avatars at the back as well. They're shiny, so. Good. Then, before I start introducing our first lovely speaker, Timna, I want to just mention the code of conduct. If you're interested in reading it in more detail, it's to be found under pyladies.com/code of conduct. And basically what it says is that we believe that knowledge is for all, and at the same time, our events aim primarily to empower gender minorities in the tech community. By attending one of the events, you also agree to the code of conduct, which is that PyLadies is dedicated to providing a respectful, harassment-free community for everyone. We do not tolerate harassment or bullying of any community member in any form. If you feel that that's happening at one of the events, if you feel like you're experiencing something that may go against the code of conduct, again, please reach out to me, Jessica, Timna. I'm sure, you're speaking today, but you're also part of our organizing committee, so please feel free to bring that up. You're very invited to flag any and all violations of the code of conduct. So I think that's it from me. Then we're going to have a small introduction from our host, and then I'm going to introduce Timna, who's our first speaker. I think that's right. Okay.
Hello, my name is Alona. I'm a host today. I'm a member of the DLT Hub team, who is a host today. I have a very huge presentation about DLT. As you can see, I'm a big fan of QR codes, so feel free to check out the website and give us a star if you like us, not because I ask. So DLT Hub, it's a company who works on a DLT. It's an open source tool. It's abbreviation for data load tool. It's easy. And it helps you load your data from A to B. Today, I will tell you about this tool a little bit later. So today, you can see some of our team members, like Violeta. Woo! Yeah. Also, should be Roshni. She's welcoming all of you here. She prepared this projector because it didn't work yesterday. She ordered food and drinks, and she's the best. DLT Hub team is quite small now. It's just 3 years old. It's like 17 of us. So, and we're working on very good thing like the data load tool. So thank you for your attention. Give us a start.
Okay, I think I can see the. Yes. Okay. So now I would like to introduce our first speaker, Timna, who is a data engineer at Project A. Timna is someone that loves data and enjoys sharing and learning from the community, and we love her. Timna is also one of the PyLadies co-organizers, and without her, the world would be a less happy place, I think. A dedicated organizer who raises all of our spirits with a flair and enthusiasm for anything and everything, and also for QR codes. So there we go. And I will pass over to Timna now.
Okay, you can find the tab on the top because it's very dark. Projector.
Can you put the reading here for me?
Yeah. And this.
Welcome everybody to my first talk.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much. Where we're going to be talking a little bit about the struggles and learnings of buying data. So we are going to have some time and where I will present some stuff, and then please keep your questions in mind so you guys can make it at the end. Okay? Awesome. Perfect. How I ended up in this? I work for Project A, which is a venture capital, which it has an operational side, which is a little bit different. And we not only invest on companies and startups or ideas in general, but we also make sure if you guys don't have seats, you can come to the front. I don't bite. But we also operate on supporting those companies that we put money on because we want them to succeed. Makes sense, right? So we come in, we create projects with them to make sure that they are succeeding. We, as of late, have also started branching out and working with companies that are inside of our network, and we feel like they could use our support. So we basically work as a consultancy, a word that everybody knows. And we come in projects that are related to data, talent acquisition, and marketing, and blah, 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 blah. I work in data, so that's why you guys are going to listen to it today. For respect of the company, the client that I worked with, we're not going to be talking about them and not very in detail, but we're going to be using, focusing on everything that is related to this project that can be related both to you too, okay? Okay, we're gonna begin with a scenario. So imagine you're coming back from home after work and you're tired. And you stop at the store at the corner of your house because nobody in cooking today. And while you're in front of the frozen pizzas, you reach out and choose one. Ready? Everybody pick it up your choice of pizza? Awesome. Why did you choose this pizza? Was it because it was the cheapest option? That's usually what I choose. Don't be ashamed. But was it a promotion, so it caught your attention? Or was it because it was your favorite brand, and it's the only one that has enough cheese? Or was it because it was the only vegan option? Did you choose in your mind? Thank you.
Something, one more, because I want another taste. For cheese.
Yeah, maybe you don't want always cheese. That is never a problem in my house, but you know, everybody with your own. Either way, I'm happy you chose that. Now think about it. If I'm the company that owns that pizza, wouldn't I want to know why you chose me? So now I present you to a question. How have you ever wondered how companies in the fast-moving consumer goods space know about you? Because if you chose my pizza, as I said before, I want to know. But if you chose my competitor's pizza, I really want to know why you chose them, right? But I don't have access to you because what you're buying is inside of a supermarket, right? You're not coming to my website. I never open a website to try to buy like juice, you know? So there's multiple ways to try to get that data. And of course, today we're going to be talking about when you buy it. Okay, so companies, my company is selling at this supermarket. And I want to know, when did the supermarket sell to you, right? So I can try to reach out to Attica, Rui, Audi, or any supermarket that you can think of, or drugstores, because they also sell food and drinks and all of that stuff, like DM. And I try to connect with all of them, make contracts that are very lengthy, and try to get the data out of them, right? And that's one of the ways that we could possibly get that data. You can imagine how that is a lot of work. If you ever try to work with data and try to fetch data from different sources, everybody is different. Everybody do their own thing, and then everybody thinks that they do better, which is a thing going on. But now think on the opposite direction. If I am a supermarket and I need to connect with every one of the people that I sell the stuff from, and they want to buy my data, that would be extremely complex, and that would take so much of the effort of the people that are working inside of those extremes. So even though it's feasible, it's definitely not optimal. So, so here is how you can get that data. Data brokers. If you Google it, they are your worst nightmare. Okay, they are the people that will get your data and sell around the world, and they are like your worst nightmare. But if you work with data, you know that this makes a lot of sense. Imagine in the situation that I talked about a minute ago. Imagine for the supermarkets how overwhelming it would be to try to sell all that data that they collect from you, which is a very interesting thing. If you Google it afterwards, what supermarkets do with your data, it's really, really interesting. Or it will give you nightmares, the two one, you know? But these data brokers, what they do is they will come and they will contact all those supermarkets we saw before, right? All the big branches. And then they will create contracts with those people. Then they will fetch that data, collect those data, they will process and clean it, and then they will sell the data sets and reports to multiple companies. It is a bit of a monopoly, so it's not exactly the best thing to do, but it definitely does make the job of everybody that wants that data and the companies, the markets that want to sell the data, a process that is very streamlined, right? So if those companies are selling that data and they are selling reports, why do they need my beautiful skills, right? Because companies usually don't buy just one data source. Like in this case, we're buying from 4 different people. So for example, the market data, so the company that goes and does that I told you guys to buy data from a bunch of different markets, that information can be combined with the companies of how much they are spending in market and the market campaign. The words are getting confused. You're welcome. The marketing campaigns, and the mix of them could give you some really good analysis, right? So what this company that I was working with, I was doing is they buy data sets from the marketing campaigns, they send to a third party. This third party will create reports based on the marketing data combined with the market date, and then they would create PDF presentations about their reports. Now you can imagine how complex that is and how over the top expensive that is. Then they would come and get customer data. So they would get a bunch of questionnaires from another company that is a data broker. They do those questionnaires about a bunch of different products. They would pick up that data and pay for them to also create a report in PDF. And then that new report would also be added to their bank of reports for that month. And then the brand data, because you want to know how people perceive your brand, would also get a PDF report that is very extensive. And then you pay somebody to be in the middle ground, which will look at all that data and try to make a decision on top of it, or try to at least make sense. And every time you try to get a new product, guess what? You start all over the nightmare. So, and then that person is creating a new report because management is not going to look at all of that. They're going to look at the final report, which, people, you have data. Give it to me. So here's a little bit about the struggles that we face when we try to finish with this process by, I'll just come right here, by cutting the middleman and picking it up, all this as a data source, as data sets. Oh, sorry, I forgot about it. I'm back. Our projection is right here. So for people to online see me, I gotta be here. Sorry. So we're kind of skipping the middleman, the middle sides of creating reports. We're trying to get all the data from those third parties that we're buying the data from. Okay, that makes total sense after this explanation that I gave it to y'all. Now the problems. One of the problems is legal and time. Another is sharing capabilities. The granularity, I'm gonna get this word wrong, granularity of data, the matching of it, and the documentation. Is not necessarily in this order because I want to keep you all in your toes. Sharing capabilities. So none of the companies that I showed you, none of the 4 companies that I showed you in the beginning have an API because they love us, I know. So in the midst of it all, we have 3 out of those 4 sources that they will only share data with us through CSVs in a SharePoint system. So you can imagine how unsafe, very manual labor that is. So this is one of the struggles that we have trying to communicate with them that this is not optimal and also getting a no. But also added a lot of complexities in our side of being prepared, knowing when they want to put stuff in. Doesn't matter, because they can put stuff today and they could put it tomorrow. Somebody is paid to do that, and it could be very out of order. For file formats cannot be optimized. We get CSVs and text TXT. You can imagine how a bit of a nightmare that is. And final problem with this is example one of our data sources. We have more than 11,000 columns of a data set because we're buying that data set, right? So for my final product to be something, you will need, that file is huge. And imagine processing all that data is like totally out of the ordinary. But again, that comes with, because of the SharePoint capabilities, because they only put us a CSV into the SharePoint, we get a huge data set that we got to figure out how to work with, right? Second is granularity. You pay for what you get, or you get what you pay for. What means that the more data you want, more expensive it becomes. Also comes to the point of like, how much granular are they willing to give to you? Certain companies that are very big, they're not willing to give you every transaction from the supermarket, but they will aggregate that data for you in a certain format, right? So with this project, for example, with one survey process, we get all the raw data. So I know every single button you press on that survey. That's the love of my life. Everybody should give me raw data. The second one comes with aggregated data. We have weekly aggregated data. We have monthly aggregated data. We have quarterly and semi-annual aggregated data. Now imagine trying to combine a monthly and a weekly aggregated data when the month ends in the middle of the week. Yeah, you go, a nightmare, right? So this is one of the problems that we definitely faced. It was just dealing with different data sources of different granularities. Third one is matching. If I show you the water bottle in the one side and the water bottle in the other, you can see it is the same thing, right? It's very visible. One is just in German, and it has a little bit of difference from the other, but like pretty standard. Now try to tell the code that this makes sense. That this and that is the same, that medium and meat CO2 is the same. Like imagine all the different products and all the different granular differences between one source of data and the other when they're actually talking about the same thing. This is one of the very big struggles that we faced, and we're still facing, because you always like find new things that can be make better, because everything becomes very text-based for you to understand the difference between products, because there is nothing communicating for us across all the different data sources what the product is. So we not only face that with product, but also with time periods, with regions, like what they consider close and far. Why? I don't know why they need to consider close and far, but they do. So all of that you can imagine in top of it. So when you're buying data, this is definitely something that you should consider. How much effort you're willing to put, or that is feasible to put, for all the cleaning that you're going to need to put in top of that data that you're buying. Legal and time. So all those companies were selling two products. They were selling the data, and they were selling all the reporting. So they don't like us very much because we're taking their market off. But either way, they were selling those two products. When we tried to change the contract so we would receive the data so we could process ourselves, some of the companies were really nice and very fast, and they were like, you're already paying for the data, so we're just going to do small changes in your contract. Here's the data for you. I mean, you already paid for it, right? Some of them didn't. They were not very nice. No, I'm kidding. They're just more complex. And that's one thing that is very important to take in consideration when you're trying to buy data. There's a lot of legality behind it. We have one company that took 6 months in between back and forth of legal teams debating about how the data was going to be presented. And we literally just got it last week. So it takes a long time sometimes because you are dealing with people's data, and that can be very complicated. So when you're trying to buy data for your company, take in consideration the time that it takes. The last one of our downsides is the lack of documentation. I mean, if the only thing that I get is a SharePoint file, you can imagine how much documentation that gets me, right? Some of them do have some explanation in a certain degree, but most of the time, the documentation is very, very scarce. One thing that I learned a lot with it is that it requires you to have frequent communications with the source companies, talk to them about the difference in what's going on, communication with the client for better understand what products they want, what things they want out of the data set so we can make sense out of this. Matching numbers with the providing reports, that takes a lot of time because if you don't know if the data, if you're processing it right, the only thing that you have is a bunch of PDF reports, you spend time trying to figure out how to make them match and investigate the differences. One of the problems that we have was actually very funny. We have this questionnaire that I told you guys before where I know everything you clicked, right? And when you're aggregating that data, life seems like a beautiful life because it's very easy compared to all the other data sources. But it came to a point where let's try it again. I was trying to get the information for how many people saw the brand going in an upwards perspective, so that it was increased, that was a good investment to make. But my numbers would never match the reports, and we couldn't figure it out why. So we spent some time talking about it, and then we tried to talk with our client. They had no idea how those numbers came about, so we were like, okay. So then we talked to the source company, and then eventually, after a lot of digging, they told us that the only people that they would take in consideration for that question was the people that knew the brand, which totally makes sense. You only ask people if they think that the brand is evolving if they know the brand. If they don't know, you don't care. But we don't know. We didn't have documentation telling us that, so how would we know, right? So I think this lack of documentation comes with a lot of talking and trying to figure stuff out that comes in behind the scenes, and you never take in consideration that when you're doing most of the projects that is inside of your company. But when you're buying data from external, that's something to be considered. Nonetheless, we got it done. Quote by me. And it's actually really cool. Everybody loves a project that is so hard and you work so hard, and actually you get a product that actually makes a difference, right? So it's awesome to get it done. And here is some of the learnings we got out of that. So first, the importance of the availability of this data for the type of companies and markets. These companies really need, the smaller, medium companies could really utilize that data for making their product succeed. So it's a lot of effort, yes, but it's worth it because it helps those smaller companies succeed by having that data and knowing if their marketing campaigns, if the effort that they are putting in makes sense, right? Please always plan to extra legalities and contracts and time for these projects, because it's something that for this project we weren't aware of it, and it really kicked our butt to not being prepared for the extra time that it takes just for the legal teams to not talk to each other, to send us emails, so we send it there and then they send it to us and send it there. You become like email crazy. And then we also learn about developing good relationships, not only with our clients, but also with the people that you're in contact from these source groups, and the importance of documentation. If you're making decisions because you're discovering things, they are not going to give you documentation. So you got to document those choices. You got to document all those steps around, because eventually people will come and be like, people know you yourself, give 2 months, and you're going to have no idea why you made the choice that you made, and now you're questioning yourself. So document that. And be flexible in your data ingestion. Be accounting for errors, especially if somebody's doing manual work. That could be a nightmare. Be prepared for that. And lastly, take the time to patiently understand the data and the expectations that it comes from it. You get a lot of data when you buy data, especially when you're getting all the competitors. So pay attention to what you need, focus on that, and get that done. And it will become your life very much less frustrating. And this is, thank you very much for it. This is my presentation. You may make any questions. If you have no questions, I know that I did like the most amazing job of your lives, but I'm open for questions.
I have some biased question. What tools you use to move your data from source to destination?
This is actually a very good point because, oh yes, hello people online. The question was, what tool did we utilize to move the data? We actually did not utilize a tool. I had a quick look at DLT, actually, so that's how I discovered DLT. And so I'm really excited about your presentation afterwards, because we literally disconsidered just because of the amount of time we had to learn a new tool. And also because we weren't really sure how it was gonna work on connecting to SharePoint and putting stuff into blob storage. And since we were already gonna need to create a process to ingest that data inside of the Delta tables, we just decided to go that way. But I really want to learn DLT because, yes, because I think it would make our lives much easier. So you're welcome for the propaganda about the next topic. Sorry.
Some of it that are granular on the transaction level. Do they come with entity ID that you could connect with other like stores data, so you know, like this person bought this from the M or this from Revit, or like, for example, based on the credit card or something?
Okay, so just repeating the question, he's asking, so basically with the different data that we buy, if we get like some kind of entity ID with that we can take in consideration while looking for different data sources, right? No, the short answer is no. So one of the companies that I told you guys that has kind of like a monopoly, but not really, they have a standard system that they utilize that a lot of other companies seems to have adapted to, because this company specifically, they are international, they are very prominent, and they just make decisions and people just start following to make sense. But with other data sources, not all of them are following that, especially because some of the, as I showed before, the content of those data sources are different. So while one is about the market and the small transactions, even though they do not give us every single transactions, use only aggregated data for that, kind of makes sense, I guess. But yeah, while that is happening, the data that we're getting from our customer data, what they perceive about each of our products, is not connected to the market. So everything needs to be checked at a string level, because this is the only way to make sense about the topics, because they don't give us a ID, here's how it looks like on their side, and that's how you match it up. They don't do that. They just give us a data set. So it would have made my life much easier. I would love it, but it doesn't. Yes, please.
Yeah, and probably you can share which tools or algorithms you are using to match this description.
Oh, so the question is if I have any tools or algorithms that I use to match these descriptions. We did develop an in-house system with our beloved DBT and macros. So if you are used to macros, you know, this is kind of how we went about. We could do an external area where we try to match them up. We try to make sense as algorithm as we could. But in the end of the day, like, where is it? Like the line of that I showed you guys, like, it's really hard to break down for each product every possibility. So we kind of try to find the patterns within each company, because everything has a pattern, right? Mm-hmm. So we try to identify the patterns within those sources. And then from that, we create our own mapping system. And then we try to match by that. Of course, it doesn't end up being perfect, but it's it's really well established for the product and the result that we wanted out of it. And that's how we formulate it. It is not perfect for every single product that exists for every single competitor, but it gets it done for this specific project, the necessity that it has. Yes.
How are you ingesting PDFs? Like, how are you extracting information out of PDFs?
We do not ingest the PDFs. So what we did is, in place of having the PDFs, that is how they get it reports before, we started ingesting the CSV of the raw data and creating our own reporting on top of that. So we ingest inside of the data warehouse, and then we use Power BI in the end so they can look at reports in a much more flexible way, right? And matching all those data sources together. So there is no PDF reporting.
Okay, so you're not pulling.
No, we're not getting the data out of it because it wouldn't make sense just create the same reports over and over again. No, we wanted to get more insights out of that, and that could only come if we were able to get the data sets from them. Yes.
I was wondering, what is your process for data cleaning? So that also requires a lot of domain knowledge, and how do you detect unreasonable values? Do you then try to get expert knowledge externally, or what is your process for that?
So for us in this specific project, what we did is we worked really closely with our client, because our client know their product and they know their capabilities. And then, as I said before, we did a lot of matching with the reports that they had. So because they have been keeping those reports for a long time, we would analyze their reports and the final results and see if what we are getting in our reporting would match theirs. And this is basically how we went about. We also spoke to the people that were providing the data for us, and as much as they were willing to share, because some stuff is for themselves, that's how they make money, I get it. So as much as they could share with us. In the process of data cleaning, in specific, a lot of the cleaning we did inside of the transformations is in dbt. But to make sure that the things match at the end, we base ourselves on the reports in both sides and make sense of the numbers. If that did not answer your question, please let me know and I'll try it again.
And that makes sense. To combine the different sources and then see how it matches your data.
Yes.
I guess that makes sense, yeah.
And then the specific like inline cleaning, it came from dbt and transformations inside of queries inside of our data warehouse. Awesome. So thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I need to go back to, here it is. So now, before the break, we have another speaker, and our speaker is Sara Garcia Cabezali. I hope I'm saying that right. She leads the data management for the product catalog at HelloPrint, and her role involves building data pipelines to standardize diverse data formats and developing automated solutions to streamline daily operations and boost efficiency. Originally from Spain, she holds a background in mathematics and statistics, and she's going to talk to us today. And there's going to be a little bit of a technological switch.
When we do the technological switch, we let everyone grab some pizza, because I think it's very hellish to make them sit there.
Okay, perfect. So should we have a little 10, 5?
No, like 5, like if you want to grab pizza while we
Okay,
change the
so for the
order.
people in the room, I'm sorry for the people online. You can do whatever for the next 5 minutes. People in the room, unless you have pizza at home. If you don't, then eat something else. You can think about the frozen pizza you would have eaten. People in the room, there are some pizzas there, there's some drinks, and while we're doing the technological little switcheroo, we can all grab a slice. Perfect. Good. Okay, I will
or
Okay, I'm gonna try to put this full screen. Is it full screen right now?
full screen? Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, probably you can see my tabs, so that's a little bit of a spoiler. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. I hope you're enjoying the pizza. Today I'm going to speak about how our data team, built a product catalog using the modern stack. So probably I think you might be familiar with it, but otherwise you'll see during the presentation to build basically a product catalog for scalability. A little bit about me. Well, my name is Sara Garcia Cabezalí, so probably from the surname you can tell I'm from Madrid, Spain. I have a background in mathematics and statistics, and then like around 3 years ago, I decided to move to Rotterdam. So I actually came today from Rotterdam, and then going back tomorrow as well, just for the speech and to see you all here. And yeah, I started more like as an intern in data analysis, and then I just moved a little bit towards data engineering, which I think I like the most. A little bit on a personal note, I love dogs, so he's invited to come anytime around. And some sports like paddle and football, so a little bit of Spanish sports. I'm also very clumsy, to be honest, but it's nice. It doesn't really apply to my job. I'm going to tell you first a little bit about HelloPrint, that is the company that I work for, just so that you understand what it's like, the difficulties that we were struggling with, and you understand a little bit the context of the problem. Well, HelloPrint is a global marketplace for customized printed products, which might sound a little bit difficult. It's currently working in 31 countries, and probably from the printed, you think, okay, we have a lot of printed printer facilities. We also have delivery options, so we can actually deliver these printed products or customized products to our different customers. But no, we don't. Actually, we don't have any of those risks, but we have a lot of agreements with different printers around Europe and other places, and different delivery options that can make us possible to offer these products to our customers. And one side note, if I start speaking too fast, please let me know, because I tend to do that when I'm a little bit stressed. Well, on this presentation, I'm gonna focus on the part of the producer, so the data. How are we actually managing the data from the producers and not the delivery options? Because I think it's a little bit more interesting, and it's the one that is really bringing most of the challenges. Yeah, I think here I added a small clip. In this clip, you can see a little bit how our website looks like, basically. If you're not really familiar with the printed industry, probably you're thinking, okay, what are printers? What can I print? A flyer, a paper? So it can be a booklet, a business card, but we can actually print flags, as the ones you see here. And during the last years, I think we've been focusing more on leveraging some categories like corporate gifts, like bottles, pens, or even clothing, like hoodies, and so on. And in each of these categories, you can see that the product offering is quite wide. So we don't offer only one type of hoodie, but we offer a lot of type of hoodies. So if we, for example, focus on one single hoodie, you can see, okay, we have different hoodies from different colors. I have different sizes, but on top of that, you need to add another layer of complexity. That is, okay, I can print on it, and I can print with different sizes, but I can also choose different print techniques. Like, for example, I want to do it like embroidery, or I want to print it digital, and so on. So I hope that more or less you got an idea of what is the company about. So, okay, what's the challenge? The company's mission is to become the largest and most sustainable platform for customized products, printed products in the planet. So, of course, as you can see, it's not a small goal. And that, well, at the end, turns out in our data team to, or like Traduces translates in our data team to the challenge of building and maintaining a scalable and efficient data infrastructure to support that growth, of course, in a scalable way. Again, if I go back, one product is 1,000 of combinations. So I'm going to put some numbers into the challenge. Basically, one product can be 1,000 of combinations. Just think of a T-shirt with different colors, different sizes. But we don't only offer one product. We offer 3,000 products, which of course can vary a lot. So they are quite varied. You can see a T-shirt, you can see a bag, you can see a pen, you can see a flyer, you can see a flag. So of course, the different attributes that we're using are quite different between products. So that turns around to be around 10 million SKUs that we're currently offering on our website. And we have around 300 producers that can produce these different products. So of course, we need to find a way that we can integrate all the data from our different producers on such a way that we can actually compare one SKU from a producer to another SKU from the producer, so we can offer the best solution or the best option in terms of price for our customers. So I'm going to give you a bigger picture of what's like the actual solution that we built. We use the Modern Stack. If you're not used to it, I don't know how many people here maybe know about Airflow, dbt. Yeah? Oh yeah, I guess so. Perfect. Well, I think within my company it was more used previously for like data analytics mainly, but we decided to use, because we already had those resources, we started to build the solution also in this stack, and of course because there were some pros on top of it, but and it turned out to be a very good solution actually. So we use Airflow. Airflow is basically a tool that helps us to orchestrate different tasks and to schedule them. So basically, when I want to trigger something, I can just trigger a pipeline in Airflow that it's gonna trigger different tasks in a specific order and so on. dbt is basically when we do the transformations that we can do in SQL language, and of course that's also its Jinja language can help us to define macros in it, so we can do more specific transformations, as Timna was explaining before. We also use BigQuery for data storage, Google Cloud Storage for data storage, and Google Sheets, which you might not be quite a fan of, but I will show you, I think, a very nice use case on how you can use Google Sheets on a sustainable way. So overall, the bigger picture, I think it's supplier data. Imagine 300 different suppliers. Of course, right now we don't have all these suppliers stable, like added in the new or migrated to the new solution. But imagine we have quite different suppliers. What we do is use basically Python to download all this data from the different sources and store it in Google Cloud Storage in the raw format. We use then dbt, where we declare the different files that we have in Google Cloud Storage as sources. And finally, we make some specific transformations for each of the suppliers, of course, because they provide the data in different formats. And we built a standardized catalog, which, of course, I was thinking of showing you like, okay, how this standardized catalog look like, but it's probably is like data, I think like a data structure you've seen previously as well, but it's constantly changing. So what we've realized is, okay, we have a first version of the standardized catalog, but when another supplier comes, okay, we really need to store this data as well, because we also need to build this supplier reference. So this is changing over time, and this is one of the lessons that we learned. So far, we have a stable standardized catalog format. And after that, of course, I'm a data specialist and our team is a data specialist, but I don't know that much about printing. I know a little bit, of course. Over time, I've learned a little bit. It's been 3 years already. But yeah, we just need to create a UI for our team that is category management, so that they can choose, right? They are the specialists, so they know what the customers are really looking for, where they know what customers want, what print techniques are more useful for a certain product, what products are actually going to be or is there traffic on, and so on. And then based on that, we can just finally create product files. So that is like our final product, that is a product file and a content file that can finally enrich the website to build the product PDP, like I showed you before. Supplier communication, this is the step one. So I just showed you the bigger picture. Now I'm gonna go like step by step. I will try to go a little bit, I will make it a little bit dynamic. Supplier communication, I think like when we are onboarding a new supplier, okay, e-commerce team or like supply team just comes to us and tells us, okay, we have a great deal with this supplier. We need to onboard them because they have all these products, super cheap, super good quality, fast turnaround. We need to onboard them. That's great. Well, there are two first questions that we normally ask. Well, I always pray for, please, I hope that it's like a JSON and an API. But it doesn't happen often. So the data formats can really vary between different suppliers, XML, JSON, CSV, all of others use PDF, even images sometimes to provide us with their catalog. And of course, the extracting methods. So this is another question that we really need to know at the beginning, that it's, okay, there are some suppliers that provide us with have an FTP server in place, also have an API, or others provide like more like the old format of email thread. So they just share as the CSV or the image or the PDF through email. So of course, from this whole like data range and all these variables, you can see that we need like a process that is really adaptable. So that's why we decided to use Python, because it really gives us like a lot of options. And I think like there are a lot of packages that really help us to download this data. And what we just do is just, okay, we gather this data, we connect to this API, we download the data, store in Google Cloud Storage on a raw format. We try to separate each step very clearly, so we make sure that the tools do not have any do not do like the same transformation themselves. So Python is always going to be for extraction and for transformations that cannot be done, for example, by dbt, like for example calling OpenAI or image edition. dbt is always going to be used only for transformations in SQL, and so on. So we make sure that, for example, Python in this stage was only to download, no transformation. The transformations were going to come afterwards by dbt. dbt transformations. So as I explained, we declare the sources. What we do here is flatten the data in a nest, because most of the cases we just receive nested JSONs and so on. So this is in this step, we make sure that we just flatten the data in a nested. We want to have it as close as possible to the supplier data so we can test it. But also at the same time, we want to flatten it, right? So we can make use of it. Also, as maybe you've worked with dbt before, it's quite difficult to set up tests on JSON formats. So that's why we try to nest on this first step. Afterwards, of course, we make some supplier-specific transformations. These vary a lot between suppliers. Of course, they really provide us the data in a different way. And then finally, we create our catalog model that is, let's say, like the holy glory, that it's a product that it's based on 3 different objects, main objects that are the product, the variant, and the print option. Of course, through all these steps, we just define different tests that can have like different severity levels, so they can be warding or breaking, so they can break the pipeline, or they can just be just as a warding. Of course, we only define tests that we can really actually make a act on, otherwise we wouldn't define them. I think that's it. Okay, so if we go back to the bigger picture, how far are we? Okay, we have the supplier data, we download it with Python, store it in Google Cloud Storage, we declare the sources on dbt, and finally, with some specific supplier transformation, we get a standardized catalog. So we have all our suppliers' data structured in a standardized way. So now it comes the Google Sheet UI. So now I have to provide Catman with an overview of what this supplier can provide us with, or what is their catalog, their product offering, so that actually I can create a product file. So for that, I'm gonna share another screen. I hope I can do it good. Okay, so this is the Google Sheets UI. Well, first of all, let me show you a little bit of Airflow, because I think it might be useful. PFC is one of our suppliers. I think you might know it. Well, for sure you don't know it, so that's great. And we have, for example, different pipelines that are going to have different tasks, of course. This is the catalog refresh. This one is the one that runs every Monday, for example, at 5 a.m. It depends on the regularity from the supplier. Some of them update the data like very regularly, like every day, or some of them just do it once a month, and so on. So, for example, this supplier, we update the data on Mondays at 5 a.m. And you can see that this pipeline is made out of different tasks. So each of these tasks are going to run one after the other. First of all, we extract the data. Afterwards, we transform in dbt. And finally, we trigger the Google Sheets refresh data. So we trigger that. We make sure that these changes that we just retrieved are showing up in the Google Sheets. And now this is how the Google Sheets look. How do we actually connect all the data that we have available? Well, I think Google Sheets is quite a powerful tool. One second, I don't want that. Okay, Google Sheets is quite a powerful tool. Sorry. Okay, since I'm gonna doesn't matter. That's the third is best. Okay, so yeah. Nice. So it's a very powerful tool since it has app scripts, and we can connect to different sources, so BigQuery tables basically. And that's where we are storing our final catalog structure. So for example, I can just connect to this table. So I have here an overview of this table. I can connect to this other table that is a product table. And there should be a way, right, of skipping that. Well, anyways. And then we can make extractions of that, so we can actually make use of that data in the Google Sheets. So finally, that looks like this. Like this. So here you have a nice Google Sheet where you can see what are the products from the different supplier. Okay, you can see an image, so you can already have a look. You can see what are the different categories. Okay, so I have drinkware, I have a sportswear, and so on. So you can search for your products here. You can also see what is the ID from the supplier, which might be very useful because our managers, category managers, are very used to just go to the supplier's website and see, okay, I really like this product. What is ID? Copy paste. Or they even say, okay, what's the product name? So they just can search there for it. And they can select different products. Of course, so for example, imagine they want to select these products. What is it? Sorry, I don't see very good. Can someone? Riviera water resistant outdoor picnic blanket. So this blanket, they would just select here, put a slug, a quantity they want to import it for, and what PCM template it's part of. Basically, what is the template? So the big group of products that it's part of. The second one would be the print option. So here, for example, they can say, hey, for this specific product that I was onboarding, I just want to onboard these and these. At first, it will show abstract, but we, of course, with the help of Abbott scripts, we can just create some helps for them. So for example, it would just fit in always what it's in here. If there's, for example, we have a lot of tests on top of these because, of course, users tend to do some errors. So if, for example, they just put like a number that it's above it, it will just give an error and it's not going to be included, basically. I'm going to delete it because this is production. And then finally, the PCM quantity. So whenever they have everything ready, they fill in everything. They just come here. That is this tab. That is the trigger tab. So they can say, hey, I want to have all the products under... let's hope we choose the right one, USB. So they can click here and they can generate a file. So I'm gonna let it run because otherwise it won't. Okay. For this, as you can see, it will just open a new tab. Why? Because it's running an app script. So if I go now here and I see all the tools that I have
Is there
here.
any way to make it zoomed in?
Yes, of course. Better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So here, for example, I have the app script. So here we have different macros. So what we're going to do is whenever they click that button is going to trigger one of these macros, that is the request PCM, and it's going to create a web app. So this web app is going to trigger another big app script that we have in a different location so that we can really save all the, let's say, like we don't have these other team members that are not really part of the team with different keys and so on, so they cannot really access them or they cannot really make changes to this production code, which is the best. So as you can see, for example, here the script is running. One of the functionalities that we added is that if, for example, you see, this is all of us, okay, data team, but you can see that some of them have become viewer. These are all category management. So whenever the pipeline is triggered, Google Sheets will change all their accesses to viewer, except for the data team. So we make sure that they don't make any modifications in the UI while the pipeline is running, because otherwise something can break. Whenever the pipeline is done, then they will get again back their editor rights. Not only these, but they will also get a message in a Slack. That is this one. So they will get a message that I will tell you, hey, I'm processing this file for this supplier, this specific group of products that is corporate gifts, and for this. So whenever the process is ready, they will just get it there. They will just get up, okay, file was successfully generated. Otherwise, they will just get an error. Hey, something went wrong, which is great for us because for now we're a small team. So it's easy to track the errors this way. They can always text here. They can always reply and, hey, can you check what went wrong in this pipeline and so on. But as you can see, for now, I think everything was going good. Well, some errors today, didn't really have time. And again, as I was telling you, then this is triggering an Airflow pipeline. If I find Airflow again. Yeah, perfect. This is triggering an Airflow pipeline, which I'm going to show you. Perfect. He's triggering this Airflow pipeline that is basically going to trigger different tasks. So in this case, we're going to do a transformation. We already have the catalog, and they gave us some other input. So with that input and the standardized catalog, we're going to build a product file. And we are going to data sync it to Google Cloud Storage. Whenever that's ready, we will just gonna get a message in the Google Cloud Storage, in Slack, so we can click in the file, and they can actually download the file. And they can see, okay, this is the file, this is I'm gonna open this one, that is the old one, by the way. I'm not sure what product it was. So you have an idea. Oop.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm not sure where I have it though. Hola. Ah, here, perfect, sorry. This should go more smooth, sorry. Which is at the end data that is going to be provided to our website, basically. So it's quite big, different images, the coordinates, if it can be added to Fast Editor. But you have an idea, basically, of the CSV that is going to be provided to the website. I'm going to close this, perfect. So overall, you saw the UI and how actually we can more or less synchronize or make easier the way that we work with our category management team. If we go back to the presentation, okay, we covered all this part, but we are still miss the other part, that is the content file. So we don't only create product data, but we also help them to create content. In the past, every time they would onboard a product, they would say, okay, how do I name this product? Or what is the description I need to give this product? Or we had multiple designers, image designers, that would just create product images. But now we try to a little bit make this part a little bit more efficient and faster. So we create a content file. Perfect. That it's gonna contain two things, description and titles, but also images. For this, what did we do? We used the descriptions and titles from our suppliers, but we enrich them with OpenAI. So we created different assistants in OpenAI for each of the languages. As I explained, there were like 31 countries we are currently working on. So we, of course, need to provide different languages, descriptions, and names. So we just use OpenAI, so we could translate all these and generate our, let's say, HelloPrint style descriptions and names. So imagine we have a supplier, we have this product name, a Spectrum 6 cooler bag, so a cooler bag. We just use an OpenAI assistant that it's in English, it's going to generate a product name and a product description. Okay, no woven PP plastic cooler bag, and keep your drinks chilled in style. This compact VC cooler bag can hold up 6 hands, and so on. And then we're going to call to that different assistants for each of the languages that are going to translate actually this English generated description and product into the different languages. So, for example, the Spanish one, I'm a little bit biased. Bolsa de nevera de BC plástico, no tejido, and so on. You might not understand, probably you don't understand it. And then finally, the content, image, and icons. Here, I think we didn't only use OpenAI, but also Python made a huge, or took a huge role on it. For example, in clothing, most of our suppliers have two different products. So they have the hoodie as one single product for men, and for women, they have another different product. So what we just basically did, or we wanted to do, is just put these two together so we could sell it in the website, so they could order both of them. So what we use is PhotoRoom, that it's an external tool that we can use, make API calls to. So we would delete the background and crop these images. And then we ask, okay, OpenAI, is there a man or woman in the picture? Yes or no? So OpenAI would tell us so. No, there is no. So then what we would do is, okay, we use Python. So then we make sure that we put these two together in a single image. And of course, you see this now and you say, okay, this is not very realistic. And I haven't shown you the worst ones, to be honest, but this is something that it needs to be improved. And I think it's good to put a product live. So I think it's also something you will learn within the startup, and that you can put a product live first and then see how the traffic goes in. And when the traffic starts to go in, then you can really put more effort in improving this PDP, for example, with someone that can actually design images specifically. It also did this. So for example, we had different image variants, so the different colors. So we could also define the script so that it would put them either, for example, in this case, so for example, in this case, where you were seeing the different colors, we would have one of the hoodies on top and then the other one behind, and so on, with a different margin, with a specific side, and so on. And all this perfect, so that it would work in our Contentful management system. And yeah, I was going to show you again the content. So we don't only have like a content, like a product catalog UI, but we also have a content one. So basically, if I go to the PCM file that we were generating, that was USB, I can go to the Slack selection and I can say, hey, I want to generate content for these and these. They might look the same, but they have different capacities. So then I can generate content for them. As you can see, for example, it says, hey, I cannot upload these to the website because you don't have content generated. But I can just click here and generate content. And again, they will receive a Slack message saying, hey, the content is being generated. They will get editor, viewer rights until the pipeline is done. And then finally, they will see the output here. So we realized that, okay, OpenAI is not something we can go live with. So the output of OpenAI is not something we can go live with. So that's why we created like different columns so they could actually review all this content in the case they would like to do. And as you can see, for different languages, we have specific writers that can review this content, but they don't have to start all from the beginning. And then also you can see here all the different images that we created, which if they load would be great. But yeah, I think that's most of it from the content perspective. And I think finally, I will go show you some results. So what we got from everything that we set up, we reduced with the first version that we released of the solution, we reduced on an 80% the product onboarding time. I think we reduced by like from 24 to like 18 steps, manual steps, sorry, from 24 minus 18. So 6 steps, manual steps that need to be done in order to onboard a product online. Yeah, last year we onboarded in a range of 6 months to 100 products, and while the solution was onboarded, we were able to onboard 2,200 products, which is of course quite a lot, and we were able to duplicate the revenue. Actually, we just reached a milestone not long ago of we triplicated the revenue on a specific category that was corporate gifts. That is, for example, pens and bottles, and I think that's it. Oh, yeah, the final product. So you can see here, okay, this all was generated, like even the size chart with Python, you can really easily write text in an image. So if you have the template, you can do it. These images were like all using like the photo room editor, just deleted the background. The description and product specifications, the descriptions comes from OpenAI, of course, a little bit reviewed, and as well as the name. And all the data that is on the background, like for example, the prices and turnarounds and so on, they just come from the data file. And that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Do you want any questions?
Yes, of course, yeah. If someone has any questions, then yes.
Yeah. What you are using for version code?
Sorry, again?
Version of code.
Of the code?
Version.
Yeah.
It's because you always changing something.
Yeah.
GPT models.
Yeah.
How you have you using some version?
Yeah. So yeah. So the question is like, how are we actually tackling the version, or how do we manage the different versions? Sorry?
Schema changes.
I cannot hear you.
Schema changes.
Schema changes. Okay. Well, yeah, she asked again. Sorry. What is schema? Like, how do we keep track of all the version? How the different versions that are, or the code versions during the time, and also, for example, schema changes and yeah, DBT code. Well, we have Git, so that's great. Version control.
That's not for schema changes.
Yeah, exactly. That's not part for the schema changes. So I think right now we launched these. I think it was like less than 1 year ago. So we are onboarding new people, and at the same time that we are onboarding new people, we are documenting this. I think like most of you, if you've worked like in a scale up or a startup, you realize, okay, we don't have time for documenting, which is terrible because then you lose a lot of knowledge. So we are starting to document all these. And I think we didn't really find a solution for now, like to really store all these schema changes that we are doing. For now, I think like mostly three of us just have very clear in our mind. I think it's our brain for now that it's keeping it and just keeping it. But we're trying now to increase the documentation that we have on it, so we can really keep track of the schema changes. But it would be mostly like, let's say, written documentation, nothing different, apart from Git, of course, like that you can see the version of the table you were creating before in DBT and so on. Thank you. Well, yeah, well, let's start with you. Sorry. Oh, well, you can go first, he said. Oh, you can go first.
Yeah, I'm curious how you got your start. How did you go from math and stats into being an analyst and then moving into...
That's a good question. So I actually started a bachelor's in mathematics, and then I switched to mathematics and statistics. And in my last year, I think, of the bachelor's, I had quite a lot of more like applied statistics. So I would be able like to program in R, Python. Also, I had a lot of like time series studies, machine learning. So machine learning and artificial intelligence. And I think from that side, all the things I liked the most was like the programming part. Still miss a little bit the mathematics background, of course. But I think overall, the bachelor itself, or like the mathematics itself, if you would study it, it just opens you a wide range of possibilities. I think it's most like, okay, mostly the logical part that you are able like to train, and once you are done with that, then I think you can really expand yourself in different things. And I started like, to be honest, I ended up in Rotterdam doing an internship because I was supposed to do a trip with my friends for like 1 month to figure out our lives, and then they all canceled. So I just went by myself to Rotterdam, and then I started this internship, and then I think I started figuring out, okay, I really like data and like the logic mind, and like how data is, well, if you set up it well, how everything clicks with each other. And that's how I ended up there. But yeah, I think from what I really learned from my bachelor's, I think not really a lot of things can be applied nowadays. Some of them, but not for the data engineering role. I think more like, of course, in analytics and so on, it would. Thank you. Yes.
So could you please elaborate on, I'm not sure whether Google Sheet triggers Airflow, or it's just some internal script like app script or something?
Yeah, so the Google Sheet, I'm gonna show you in a second. I'm still sharing online, right? Yeah. So if you see here like this button, you can assign to a specific button and script. So here I'm assigning a script that is request PCM. So now if I go to app scripts, that is basically the built-in solution from Google Sheets to trigger scripts. You can see here that I have this specific function. So when I click that button, this function is triggered. And this function is calling another request web app that is basically this one, that is creating a web app. So basically, this is going to trigger the main app script that it's actually takes in Airflow, basically. So it's telling to Airflow, hey, I want to trigger this pipeline. And it's actually triggering in Airflow pipeline. But not only that, but also it's just like it's gonna communicate with Airflow every. If I can find it here, I think we set it up. It really changes, and we have to optimize it. But I think we are setting it up to 30 minutes in total. But every 60 seconds, so every minute, it just takes back Airflow. Hey, did you finish running your task? Yes or no? Yes or no? When it's yes, then I can give again the editor access to the users. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able. And then I can close the tab, and then I can finish the script. Let's say the script will be done. So here is where I just, you see, I make a API call to Airflow where I trigger the pipeline.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I like this idea.
Oh.
Usually we use an opposite way, just from Airflow to Google Sheet.
Oh, nice.
We don't have any actions when Google Sheet triggers Airflow.
Oh, I don't know. Nice to hear. Hope it helps. That's it? Yes.
So how, after this, how would the product appear on the website?
So yeah, at the end, the product file that I showed you before, so that Excel, that's only one of the parts. Then we have the content file, that it's basically what you get after generating the content. The content file, right now we also automated it, so it uploads all the content directly to our content management tool that is Contentful. I don't know if you know it. It basically loads it directly using their API, but for the content data for now, we are stuck in Google Cloud Storage, so the users need to upload it manually to the next tool. The next tool is a little bit complicated. It's basically, it has like a mapping step, so they can map the suppliers' values to our actual values, and then they can just create a Slack on Contentful so they have a new product.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Do you build a new model catalog for each producer, or is it one data model for everyone?
Exactly. So we realized, okay, at the beginning was like, okay, we have the bigger picture. This is what the catalog is going to look like, and then we said, okay, no, we need to exclude because, of course, data is going to look different. The granularity is going to be different. What I consider a product for a pen, like the pen, this is the product, right? And what is that makes different a pen is just the color. This is the product. But for t-shirts, what makes different a t-shirt, it's the color, but also the size. So of course, the granularity changes a lot within products. So we created like a catalog structure per category. Both we try to keep them as close as possible, but every category will have different, let's say, 3 models or main models structure.
Great.
Thank you.
I'm going to cut you off just because of
Yes, of
time,
course, yeah.
But let's give her a huge applause
Thank you.
again. One, you're live.
I'm live. Okay, great. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the people online, people in the room. And we have our final exciting presentation from our lovely host, Aliona. So Aliona Strakhantsova is a Python developer, data scientist, and developer relations professional at DLT Hub, who is hosting us today. She builds and optimizes data pipelines, ELT and ETL, engages with the DLT Hub community, and creates educational content to make data processing more accessible. Previously a scientist, she traded applied math equations for machine learning adventures, specializing in the classification and segmentation of visual data in the challenging medical domain. And I will go.
Hey, thank you. Little bit of directions. Oi, no. Yes, great. And I need it. No. Oh my God, it's so difficult. The name of presentation is Building a Composable Data Future, or How DLT Empowers Data People. Originally, it was How DLT Empowers Data Pipelines, but my boss said data people makes more sense, and it is. Let's see how we can empower you. And my first question to you would be, how many data people we have in this room? You can raise your hand. Oh, a lot. I think first two presentations were a really great warm-up for my for my presentation. So let me introduce myself. I'm Aliona Strakhantsova. I started my career as a scientist in applied math. Then I met machine learning, and I spent more than 2 years as a machine learning engineer in computer vision. And when you're working as a machine learning engineer, you work with data. And once, instead of training models, you start building data platform. So I spent 1 year building our own data pipelines and data platform without knowing anything about data engineering. So that's how that's why I'm in DLT Hub right now. So because data engineering is a big part of machine learning as well, as you can see in this perfect GIF, because it's about me. Yeah. There's a little bit of content. Today we're going to discuss open standards and why it's important. Also, we're going to meet the guy. His name is Wes McKinney, and we learn about his vision in composable future. And then I will give you a little bit of intro to data engineering, but I think it's not necessary. And we discuss a little bit what is ETL and ELT, what's the difference. Then I will give you an intro to DLT, some code demo, and the cherry on top. You will see what does it mean. So we started this huge quote by Tim Berners-Lee. He is inventor of the World Wide Web. It was the standardization around HTML that allowed the web to take off. It was not only the fact that it is standard, but the fact that it is open and royalty-free. I'm not going to read the whole citation, but long story short, he's saying that the fact that HTML protocol was open led to this amazing technology progress. And yeah, the excitement is in the business and the application that you build on top. So let's talk about standards. You all met open standards in your work, in your life. You probably work with Python. And you met scikit-learn or NumPy or Matplotlib and of course pandas. And so you should know what does it mean. Yeah, open standards. It's something what you use in the base form, like frameworks, program languages, or Python libraries or protocols. And when should you start to search for standards? Here's a good rule of thumb. When things don't work as they should, it often means that standards are absent. It's a citation from the International Organization for Standardization, ISO. So why else would you use open standards? Why it's important for you guys? So it's a question for audience. Feel free to to answer. Sorry. Why open standards helps you in your work?
It's free, so you don't pay money.
Good. But why? You can just skip it. It's also free.
I think one of the beauties of it is the easiness to pass up to other people. So if multiple of us know when you're hiring new people, all these processes become much easier if we have a standard way and everybody is acquainted to it, right?
Right. Anything else? How it can help? How it save you time probably, or you can avoid the thousand of spaghetti code which never documented and nobody wants to maintain it. I would say the main why developers needs open standards, it saves their time so that they can skip the huge amount of work. Just imagine if there's no SQL and you have to work with it yourself, or CSV files. How would you move your data in emails? So saving developers from writing and maintaining thousands of lines of glue code is great. But what is in it for the company? So first, it's faster and more productive engineering teams. Less duplicated work means more time for innovation, right? Tighter innovation cycles. Targeted feature development on a smaller code base means faster releases. Also, evolution of database software and hardware. Unifying the core layers means better performance and scalability. And the last one is better use experience. More consistent interfaces and semantics means a smoother user experience. So how to recognize the right standard? I like this meme a lot. Standards can sometimes get a bad rep, and a dose of skepticism is healthy here. So the situation, yeah, there are 14 competing standards. 14, ridiculous. We need to develop one universal standard that covers everyone's use cases. Yeah, there are 15 competing standards. First, open standards should be open. Yeah, because it's open standards. Next, it should have community. So there should be people who contributes in the code base or any base. Yes, it could be not only code. There should be governance. Someone should control it. Someone should move it forward. Adoption. So are people actually using the standard? Otherwise, it's not a standard, right? And ecosystem. Is there any ecosystem of software projects that build on top of and extend the standard? So today we're going to discuss open standards from the data side, and because we are all data people here, well, almost all, but many of you, and let's discuss the challenges we have on a daily perspective. First, these tasks, they take a lot of time. It's hard to grow with, so the amount of data we deal with increases. These methods don't scale well. They can become slow and efficient. It's high maintenance. Small changes in data sources can break these systems, causing delays and requiring extra work to fix. And data silos. Different teams might use different systems that don't talk to each other, making it hard to share and combine data. Let me introduce Wes McKinney. who knows Wes McKinney? He's he's actually a very famous guy in data community. He's most widely known as a co-creator of Pandas, and also the table format Arrow. Should have heard about it. So, what is composability in data systems? It refers to building systems from modular components that are designed to work together seamlessly. You can see on the foundation of the pyramid. So it means that each next need is impossible without the previous one. So if you have modular, you can have interoperable. So it means that parts can connect and exchange information. If you have an interoperable, you can have customizable. So parts can be combined into a complete custom system. And the last one is extensible. So you can easily extend system parts to new hardware, engines, and so on. Is it clear? Probably not. So we're still talking about composable data stack, when you can replace things and use any tools, any engines, any frameworks you want. And if you want to change it, it should be smoothly changeable. So that's what means modular. Yeah? If you remove some part, the other part will still work. Oh, sorry. Well, long story short, yeah, open standards and protocols. It's the main idea of Wes McKinney's vision of a composable future. So one of the two key pillars. These shared formats allow diverse tools to speak the same language, so data can travel across different systems without friction. And the second pillar is the idea of interchangeable tools that can plug and play. Imagine a workflow where you can swap components like a data storage or processing tool without overhauling the entire setup. This flexibility empowers teams to select best-in-class tools for each task, adapting their system and requirements evolve. So, key benefits of open standards for Python data engineers. It's quite obvious, yeah. It's faster development. So, standardized tools reduce complexity. Scalability. Pipelines that are easier to extend and integrate. Future-proofing. Less dependence on vendor-specific solutions. And, of course, costs. Usually, it's free. Let's talk about ETL or how to load data from A to B. ETL, it's a very standard process how we move data from source system to data warehouse. For ETL means extract, transform, and load. But today we're going to talk about a little bit different things like ELT. It's a new way to process your data, to move your data. When you first extract your data, then you load raw data to your warehouse or any other where's the data storage. Then you transform it, you clean it up, and load it back as transformed data. So you do not lose your raw data. In case, for example, you made a mistake with dbt models. So how to load data from A to B? There is machine learning and AI and data landscape. I like that it's abbreviation is MAD landscape. Yeah, it's pretty clear. There is, I would say, modern data stack 2 years ago, 1 year ago, so 2023. And let's talk about one piece of this map. DLT, data load tool. the open source Python library for data teams loading data in unexpected and expected places as well. Well, Delty offers a lightweight interface for extracting data from REST APIs, SQL databases, cloud storage, Python data structures, and many more. So here you can see our verified sources. It's sources we pre-built, so you can just initialize it and use it. But initial idea of DLT is to make data pipelines creation as easy as possible. So you don't need to pre-built sources, and you can build it yourself with basic Python knowledge. But we're not there yet, so we still have verified sources. You can use it, feel free. It's the most popular, I would say. We have declarative interface for REST API sources. We have SQL databases. We have many popular sources like file system and Google Sheets. Yeah. And DLT works in 3 steps. It extracts data, it normalize it, so with inference schema, set data types, create schema, change schema if it's needed, and load data to your destination. So there is almost all destinations we have, but we have also 30 plus SQL databases. So DLT automates schema creations, normalization, and integration adaptability. Also about normalization, DLT unnests your data. If it has JSON format, you have nested JSONs, and you would prefer to see this data in table format in database. So DLT will do that for you. So now it's the most interesting part. We're gonna do a little of live coding. And I like this GIF because it shows how easy to change your destination. You just switch one line in your pipeline and your data moving to another place. So, how to find my demo? Okay, I have not enough experience with the. God, me. Oh, okay, good. Perfect. So can you see it?
Maybe zoom in.
I would love to, but I'm sure you can see.
If you do like Command Plus.
I tried. It doesn't work for Patreon, yeah. Yeah. Maybe got it. Yeah, there should be some
size.
Yeah. Put it there. I hate live coding, by the way.
You definitely decided to do hard mode.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of bigger already, but
Yeah, that's
I
I
think
think
it's
that's
still
enough.
kind of small, right?
Yes. So
Command Shift Plus, maybe?
no. That's fine, no?
Not really for the folks at the back. How much do they have to see the code? Like, do you want them to see the code? Because then we should sure find a way to make it bigger.
Isn't it big enough?
I think it's probably quite hard to read at the back. Who uses PyCharm? Sad that we don't have Journey here. I'm also glad because I feel embarrassed that I don't know.
I remember it was somewhere there.
So usability.
Yeah. If you exit this section, you can.
Okay.
Not bigger.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay,
big enough.
right. Are we good? Could be bigger.
You can come
Okay,
closer.
let's try go one more. Let's try go jump in front size a little bit. No, we
So let's say 25.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. I need to
Excellent.
change it
Thank
back
you. Thank
tomorrow.
you. Yeah,
Okay, actually, I want to start with installation. So, as you know, DLT is a Python library, so installation is quite easy. You just pip install DLT. Yeah, let's live coding. So I'm gonna code in live. I don't know why I did it, but so it's just pip install DLT. It's already, of course, installed. But if we pick destination, we should use pip install extensions, because we cannot install with DLT all destination requirements, dependencies, because it would be crazy. So for this demo, I picked DuckDB. Did you ever heard about DuckDB? Yeah, it's really cool tool, especially for demos, because you don't need to configure anything. You just run it. So quick start. I want to discuss first the getting started example. Well, we just imagine that your data looks like a list of JSONs. Because usually you can turn your data into a list of JSONs almost always. So that's why for two example, I picked this example. We have some ID, we have name, Alice Bob. So we declare pipeline with DLT syntaxes. We set pipeline name, we pick destination. We could easily change it to BigQuery, like place. Yeah, no. We set dataset name, and for this purpose, I'm gonna use dev mode. You can read what does it mean later. And I run this pipeline with my data and set table name, for example, users, because that's my users. I just run this pipeline. Getting started. And we see that data was loaded into dataset, my data. And destination used, there's a path to our DuckDB. You can see it here. Yeah, quick start. We have DuckDB dump in our local file system. So let's look into the data, what we have. So for this purpose, we're going to use DLT pipeline command. It takes one argument, like pipeline name. In our case, is quick start. And show. DLT has built-in very simple Streamlit application. So you can check your data when you play with it, when you in development mode, when you're testing, right? So you can see the schema. It was automatically created. You can see the data which was loaded. Let's see, Alice, Bob, and some weird numbers and hashes. It's special DLT identifiers. It helps you track your data, the versions of your data, and of course, you can use it as IDs, like for parent and child tables, and also you can track DLT IDs. Yeah, it's unique, and DLT load ID. It's a unique ID for each load, so you can see when your data was loaded. Let's back to the demo. Okay, thank you, student. Let's go further. I prepared a README. You can find this demo in our DLT demos repository on GitHub. And DLT can load any data which you can represent as a JSON or list of JSONs. For example, you can load a list of dates. You can use JSONs. You can load files like CSV files, Parquet files, or Excel files, whatever. You can load data from API and also databases and many more if you can transform your data into a list of JSONs. For example, text data, we have vector storage as a destination, so you can build your base of knowledge for your RAGs easily using DLT. So let's see how we load data from JSON. Actually, it's very easy. Let's move forward and load data from the API. So load, GitHub pipeline. So if I picked GitHub as a demo API, we're going to check all our followers and load them into DuckDB. So the workflow is pretty much the same. We set up URL, we request it, get JSON, and run it. Let's run it as usual. GitHub pipeline.py, the name of the script. So the data was loaded. Let's look at the data. So from API, it's the name of our pipeline. And show. And let's look at the data. That's how many fields the JSON has. Some of them were nested, and actually they weren't. Look at the data, you can see all our followers.
Can you check how many gave you a star?
Yes, I will check all of your guys.
Compare with the attendance.
And also we can load our data from database. You can use SQL Alchemy and transform your data into rows and feed it to the pipeline run method. But for this demo, I used our verified source. It's called SQL database. You can use any SQL Alchemy compatible database to load your data from it to destination. Yeah, for example, if you want to move your data from MySQL to Postgres, you just set it like this. Postgres, of course. For this demo, I took public dataset. That's Airfarm. And I want to load just one table. The name is family. And back to DuckDB so we could check what was loaded. And load from database. So DLT takes care about schema itself, about data typing, about structuring your data. Oh my God, no. DLT pipeline. This is long. Show. Yeah, so there's even more fields. So yeah, all data is here. So also you can see data types. It was automatically, DLT checks your first rows in your data and trying to guess what data types is it. Also, you can configure it. If you know that this column is not text but int, you can set it in Python using DLT syntaxes. You can set it as int, very easy. So, and so it looks very simple. Yeah, you think like, oh, it's really plug and play, and it's for juniors. They can be data seniors like tomorrow. But I want to show you how we usually look DLT pipelines. So, you know, that's in production. You need to be more effective. Yeah, so you need to control your data. You need to probably increase the performance. You need to have a, I don't know, different nesting level. For example, DLT unnest all your data, almost. But you can control it. You can like, I don't want to unnest this JSON in your data. I want to save it as JSON in my field. Or you want to skip one table. You can, okay, it's too much information. Or you want to parallelize it. Of course, DLT has it functionality for this. Yeah, so it's more like a real life experience example, but of course it's still not. It's not so easy. Well. So, it's pretty much about our live coding experience, but I want to show you our documentation. It's we're really proud of it because as open source, what is really important is have really good documentation. And here you can find all sources. We have pre-built sources. Of course, you can build your own using all DLT functionality, extra methods, decorators, and so on. You can see all destinations we have, like BigQuery, Databricks, DuckDB, and many more. Also, you can build your custom destination. We call it sync destination, if you know what I mean. And yeah, you can easily deploy DLT with any orchestrators you want because it's just a Python script. So if you want to run it with Airflow, do it. If you want to run it with GitHub Actions or cron job, do it. So we have a lot of tutorials how to do that. And let's come back to the presentation. It's almost done. I can find the presentation. You can see this thing. Huh? No, it's trying to create new one. That's
Here in a different tab.
yeah, that's should be here. No, it's me. No, I have more QR codes for you. No, there should be cherry on the top. Interesting. Nothing here. Okay. Thank you. Oh.
Can you just go back through Google Slides to find it?
Maybe it's somewhere here. That's why I don't like presenter. It's also not here. Maybe I close it accidentally.
Yeah.
No, I can open it. Okay. So that's almost done. So this code demo you can find by this QR code if you want to check it yourself. So I give you 1 minute. So also we have a lot of code examples in our documentation. Maybe you can find your case. And so that's it. And the cherry on top. So run DLT anywhere where Python runs, because DLT script is just a Python script. DLT is open source, and give us a star. We have extensive documentation, and we have 2,100 plus users in Slack. We have very active and friendly community, so join us and save your money. It's very popular in our company example, how guys from well, I forgot, Xiaomi, yeah, costs down 182 weeks per month using DLT. So yeah, and I want to give a respect to Voltron Data article about open standards. I used their content for this presentation. And that's it. Yeah, I'm ready for questions.
How often do you guys plan on bringing new sources? Because I saw that like some of the ones that I have worked on wasn't there. So how often do you bring new sources? I mean, I know that it's open source, so.
We don't do that now because we're working on building helpers, which can help you build your source easily. So because we don't want to maintain all these sources. It's unsolvable problem, unfortunately. So just tell what sources you have, and probably we have helpers for you.
Also, like DLT provides you decorators, which you can use to do this.
Yeah.
Just write at source, DLT source, and
You can find it in DLT demo repository. You can find many examples how to build it yourself. Yeah, any other questions?
Can folks contribute to this project?
Of course. Yeah, you can contribute.
How would they get started?
First, you can go to our community Slack and discuss it with our developers, with us also, and check our board. We have all issues in our GitHub repository. Just check what you like more and feel free.
Do you run any sprints for folks?
No.
No.
Yeah. Kanban.
Maybe we can do it together.
So, other questions?
How is the company making money?
Okay. We have funny answer for that, but it's a joke. Like the answer is scamming investors, but it's a joke. It's a joke. So we're building our paid product. If you're interested, join our community and to learn about paid product. So it's about data lakes, like portable data lake. If you work with files, for example, if you store your data as files, mostly like Parquet files or TSF files, and you have many data teams, and they work with this data, and this data is stored in one place, then you can be interested in our paid product. We have a big presentation in a few weeks. Other questions?
Okay, then we give you another huge round of applause.
Fantastic. I am definitely going to check out your demo and think for a side project I'm doing would be quite interesting to incorporate. So thanks so much for your presentation. Thank you for all the presentations. I learned so much today from you all, and it's really cool to see what you're all doing. Hopefully everyone else feels similar. I'm sure you are. I forgot to mention earlier, or I forgot to put in the slides, so Anastasia could not mention, that there is one very important event coming up in December, which is PyLadies Conference. And I'm slapping myself that I forgot to put this in the slides, but it is right at the start of December. I think it's the 6th to the 8th. It's online. It goes all the way around the clock because it has all the chapters globally doing presentations. So you can probably watch something at 2 a.m. If that's your jam. Them not being at 2 a.m, them being in a different time zone. And you'll find information if you just put into your favorite search engine, PyLadies Conference. I am sure the website will come up. So sorry that I didn't have a slide for that. Thank you all for coming and joining. Thank you to DLT for hosting us. It's been great. We don't have to leave immediately, I don't think. And I think there is still a little bit of pizza to be finished off. So please do take this opportunity to maybe catch up, talk with the speakers if you have more questions, or speak to some of the other people that are here. I know a big part of our community is also getting to know your peers and getting to network a little bit with the other folks around you. So thank you so much for joining, and I'm going to go turn the stream off now. So yeah, enjoy.